Ordinary Average Guy Podcast Show. Yeah. Hey, everybody, it's the Ordinary Average Guy Podcast Show coming at ya. Previously recorded from the Buxty Hootie Studios, episode 52. We made it, season 1, 52 episodes in. My personal goal has been achieved because, like everything in life, I succeed. I'm a winner. Anyway, the reason I'm kind of chuckling here is because I have a guest on season 1, episode 52. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig.
J-Kenn, how long have we been friends?
Oh boy, that's a tough question right off the bat. There was it 2024?
It's 20. Yes, that's it's 2025.
2025. I graduated in 2010.
I say about 2009.
15 years.
2009, I believe I first met you.
16 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And isn't that funny? Sometimes you'll meet people and you kind of not forget about them because we have Facebook now, right?
Right. Yeah.
So you're always connected at all times. But
correct.
As life takes its ups and downs, all of a sudden I end up in the same city as you. And I'm not sure how we even reconnected. Maybe it was through a post or whatever. And you reached out and you're like, hey, I got an open spot on my softball team. I remember you from at that time, probably 10 years ago.
You know what? That is actually a fantastic.
And then we just started texting each other again.
Did we run to each other at a softball, at a Tim Brothers game?
It must have been. It had to have been. But my point is like, it's just funny how you'll meet people and you don't see them forever, but you hit it off really well. And then you come back and it's like, I have my wife and I'm like, oh, this is Kenneke. I love him. Yeah, he's the best guy ever. She's like, you've literally never talked about him. And that's what happens, right?
It's the same thing with my wife. Like, this is Craig.
Yeah.
Remember? I went and got wings with him in college.
That's such a dude's thing.
Yeah.
That's such a dude's thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. 100%.
You know, it's also a dude's thing is back to those days I think it was like every Tuesday we would meet up and just have wings together.
Yeah.
Is that it was like that small town feeling where the bartender invited me to his wedding because I was his regular customer on Tuesdays. And even after you left and I stayed, I just kept going, just like hoping you would somehow show up. like it was like, going. I would never text you because that would be, I didn't want to open myself up to that humiliation over text message that you weren't going to come. But I was like, I'll just go anyway. Maybe Justin will decide, maybe he had something going on. Yeah.
I don't know. Oh man, I still remember one night I laid up in my bed just in pain because I had probably 45 wings. And you can agree that that's probably what we had. One night I had 45 wings, probably 2 pitchers of beer, because that's what we would do. We get the wings, and it was unlimited, and then we would all get our own pitcher of beer. Not a beer, a pitcher.
I believe the deal was 30 wings and a pitcher of beer, and you ordered 2. Which, after watching you eat Hawaiian pizza tonight, is totally on brand for you. Just 16 years later. Same dude.
Well,
okay. I really wanted a bite of that Hawaiian pizza. You have no idea. Like, I do not like fruit on pizza, but looking at that one, I was like, I really want a slice of that.
Yeah.
And I got to talking to the guys, having beer, watching TV, and all of a sudden I turned to you, and it's gone.
It wasn't
an entire 12-inch pizza.
Yeah,
and this was not a thin crust pizza either.
It was hand tossed.
Yeah.
No, there was no way that, and it crossed my mind too. Well, okay, so I got the listeners here, the 10s and 10s, who have followed me on a journey this whole year about weight loss and healthy living. And tonight was not.
Boy, you let them down tonight. I will be a witness. As your season finale guest, he let the family down.
Yeah, I let him down because I got the Hawaiian pizza. Well, we went to a local place here in town, and I knew the pizza was good. And you guys got the wings, which makes sense. We usually do get wings. But the pizza's phenomenal.
I should have taken your advice because you had been there. I haven't. You go to a bar you've never been before, you're going to just try a half dozen wings and some fries.
It's a safe bet.
It is. You just can't ruin it.
I'll be honest with you. Wings, if you were to go to a bar, what would you order? Probably wings, I would say most often. If you weren't ever, or a restaurant even, if you were never there before, safe bet.
Yeah, because I think if you want a burger, you kind of have to know the place. You have to warm it
Yeah.
up to it a little bit because
Yeah,
not
yeah.
everybody does it right. And if you want it done a special
And
way,
that thing about a burger is such an easy thing, but it can be so easy to screw up.
right, it can really ruin your night.
But wings, kind of, even a, is it safe to say that even a bad, wings that are so are still, yeah,
Well, because it's covered in a sauce.
that's true.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's hard to mess up a sauce,
that's
right?
true.
Yeah. But it was a very average, ordinary thing for you to completely fall off the diet wagon. 100%.
No, dude, I'm
So
back.
that's what your listeners are, average, ordinary people
Yeah.
who fall off the wagon daily.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. We fall off the wagon. But I'm getting back on because I have actually. Have you ever now to the tens and tens listening? We do not have any paper in front of us. We don't have any script. We don't have
Nothing.
It's just two guys sitting down here drinking some Busch Lights after having
Very average, ordinary looking husbands.
that's the
talking.
one. That's the one thing where we're not ordinary and average. We're
No?
good looking sons of bitches.
You know, the things you say in the mirror at night to go to sleep is just whatever you got to do.
It's like you ever watch Saturday Night Live back in the day.
Well,
And
back
you-
in the day, sure.
And you're good and you're nice and people like you.
I
You know
think
what I'm talking about?
I think there were movies back in the day where it was always like the hero of the story would be putting in a CD in the CD player, and it was like a self-help, either cassette
Yeah.
or CD. It's like, I am confident and I am strong. I am brave down the highway in traffic, going into their hellscape job.
So I was before I had you on the podcast, I was going to talk about purging. You ever go through a purge?
Oh,
You ever just, like,
absolutely.
throw shit away.
Oh, it's so good. It
Yeah.
feels the best.
It's so this is a twofer. So literally my office, I like 2 weeks ago I purged. I had like 2 hours where I had nothing going on and I was looking around my office. It was a complete mess and disaster. And I've been working there now for 10 years or so. And I just said, screw it. I went through everything and I purged everything. I got rid of everything. I'm like totally like minimalist, like everything I absolutely need. It's all I had. Now I have a nice clean office. But one thing I found, and it was phenomenal, and I was going to talk about how at the end of this year, I'm going to get back on the diet train. I'm going to lose another 25 pounds, and then I'm going to purge everything I have, right?
Okay.
That's what I was going to talk about, which is whatever. Maybe we'll talk about that
Maybe you
later.
should purge the pantry before you do anything else.
Well,
Sorry.
so this week, my wife, so a couple episodes ago, I was talking about brand names. Are you a brand name guy? Like, is there anything that you need to buy that's a brand name?
Honestly, not really, because the older you get,
Yeah.
I feel like you're willing to try more. Funny story about being in middle school.
Yeah.
You had to have brand name everything, because if anybody at the lunch table found out that you were shopping at Aldi's, you were
Yeah.
just basically branded as the poor kid.
Yeah.
And in a small town growing up, that was just like,
You
you weren't having it.
Yeah.
Which now looking back just sounds ridiculous and cruel, but that's just the way it was,
That's just
right?
the way it was.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I'm sure there's
Well,
some things that I think about
No,
that I have to have,
everyone's-
like toilet
everyone
paper.
shops at
I can't be having cheap toilet paper.
No, you want good
I'm in
shit.
my middle age. I got to have the good stuff
Do you get
now.
Quilted Northern?
Exactly.
Do you?
I mean, yeah. I will pay extra
What do we
for
got?
things like that.
I got my toilet paper down here. I don't know where it is. But a couple weeks ago, to the tens and tens, we do not use Q-tips. We do not buy brand name Q-tips. I did so a person emailed me and said, "Hey, I always buy brand name Q-tips. What are you like?" And I didn't know what we used. We have, I don't know what the cotton swabs was, or no, not cotton swab. What would the actual name be of a Q-tip? Q-tip.
I'm not sure. Sometimes a brand is so synonymous with the product, you can't
Yeah.
think of anything else.
Like
Like a
clean.
Xerox machine, right?
Oh yeah,
A
yeah.
like Xerox is just the original company
Yeah.
of the copy machine, but that's what everybody calls
That's
it
what
still.
everyone calls it, right? So I made a comment. I'm like, my freaking Q-tips, they always like bend, like they're not stiff. And I was like, I don't think we're buying real Q. And we're not. We're buying knockoff Q-tips. So I got to talk to my wife about that. But my wife bought, and we're way off topic here. we're going to swing it
This
back.
is an average, ordinary conversation.
Yeah.
It can go way off topic.
Way off topic. But my wife bought some off-brand nutty bars. Remember nutty bars?
Yeah, if I could find them in your house, I'd throw them right in the trash right now.
Or you can't find them because I ate them all.
That's not a shock. I would have scolded her
ate
for
'em
doing
all.
that to you.
And she bought the off-brand ones. So I almost felt obligated. I'm like, well, I got to try these.
You hated them so much, you ate them all.
Yeah. I was like, I can't let my kids
It's like
eat
that Hawaiian
these.
pizza.
So we talk about ordinary and average stuff. We went golfing tonight. This Craig's one of my buddies I talked about last week that goes golfing with me. You and the other two guys, Dan and John, without an H.
The one true way to spell it, by the way.
Yeah, you're.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. J-O-N.
You are anti-H.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Why not?
Is it too early for the opinion?
It's not too early. Well, we can have a lot of stuff.
I just don't. I just have always liked J-O-N.
Yeah.
It's just one of the random things I have lots of opinions on. I can't tell you why. Just looks better.
I'll tell you what. If I was a John, I think, and I'm not just saying this because you said it, but I think I would prefer without an H also. I think an H is more popular. I think
It's too mainstream.
Yeah, it's
we live in the anti-hero counterculture type era.
Exactly.
The H has been around for like 2,000
John
years.
Cena, he's an H.
He's an H.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's why he went heel.
That's why he went heel. We can't talk
about wrestling too much because we have a mutual friend who wants to come on the show and talk about wrestling.
Yes.
With you for a straight hour.
But I also want to do a wrestling podcast, and I think it would work.
Well, let's not overextend yourself.
But I think with the world of internet, you could get you, me, and him on the Zoom or whatever and do the podcast.
Oh, sure.
I don't see why that would be impossible. And that'd be fun.
What I like
every other week, maybe.
And what's kind of fun is if we want to talk about professional wrestling for a little bit, because we're just gonna, whatever star we see in the sky, we're just gonna grab at. Apparently, that's how this conversation's gonna go.
Pretty much.
Yeah. What I like to do is the storytelling of wrestling. I don't want to just sit and rehash old matches or whatever because anybody can go back and look at that stuff. But like, let's say I'm the good guy, you're the bad guy. Yeah. How are we gonna book this match? Yeah. You're gonna say some stuff about me. Personally, you're going to cut deep.
Yeah.
You're going to get the crowd going. What city are we in?
Yeah.
You're going to trash them. Oh, it's going to be great.
I know.
Yeah. You're going to get them good. Every show up until the pay-per-view, you're going to get over on me. And I'm finally going to get my moment at the show and everybody's going to love it.
Yeah, I know.
And the ratings will go through the roof.
It's really not that hard to book wrestling, which is why it's so weird when they get it wrong sometimes.
Right.
You know what
it's
I mean?
like, wow, how did that not hit the landing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've almost felt that way about the big show this year at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Every show I thought was great up until the one that should have been the best.
Are you talking about Cena versus Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, I just feel like it didn't hit the landing. So, but honestly, I think what bothered me, it wasn't so much the match itself as when John did his original heel turn back around the Royal Rumble time, a little bit after.
Well, it was at
I don't want to date
Elimination
myself.
Chamber.
Yeah, I think it used to be called Fastlane and now Elimination Chamber. That's why he did it. Yeah, he did the heel turn. I was so excited. I turn it on the next week and he's not on TV. I turn it on the next week. He's not on TV again. And I honestly I forgot about WWE because he wasn't on TV.
Yeah, it's just like, and this whole part-time schedule these guys are running is bullshit.
I know. I love all those guys for all the effort and work they put in over the years. But if you're not going to be on TV, it's not relevant. It doesn't make it a relevant match.
That's why, I'll tell you, Seth Rollins, that's why I really dig him nowadays, even though he's not my favorite wrestler at the moment. Randy Orton is my favorite wrestler at the moment. But I like Seth Rollins because he's there every week. And then he's showing up on both shows, which we got to stop talking about wrestling because there's a lot of listeners that despise the fact that I talk about wrestling all the time.
Well, we can't upset the tens and tens.
No, we can't upset the tens and tens. I only got tens and tens. I can't. If I had hundreds and hundreds, maybe I would be like, screw you. But I gotta. But I don't. I never. For the last 25 years, I do not like the brand split. The Raw.
You want them on the show every night.
I want just everyone's on the show. I don't like two champions. I think that's stupid to have a WWE champion and a heavyweight champion.
It feels like everybody's a part-time wrestler.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, who is the actual champion?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, it's a WWE champion. Obviously, that's, but it's like, then why have the heavyweight champion? What's the point?
There's too many people on the roster.
There is.
That's really what it comes down to. And the problem is, though, is they're all so talented now.
It's almost too much.
Yeah.
And I also don't, another unordinary opinion, and then we'll stop talking about wrestling. But like at the they're recruiting like NCAA athletes to be wrestlers, which is cool because they're athletes. They're going to be good performers, but they're not. They don't have that wrestler instinct.
If you're not good on the stick, if you're not good on the microphone,
right? And you need guys like you and
invested
me who grew up and are like, I'm gonna be a wrestler. I got trained by the guy down the road, and I went through the indies, and now I made it.
I used to cut promos in front of my own mirror after mom and dad went to sleep.
Dude, I cut promos all the time in my room.
Oh gosh,
I don't even want to
get into what we did as kids.
You cut promos right now.
Oh yeah, in my car on the way to school
all the time.
For those who don't know, I'm a teacher. I cut promos on kids, imaginary kids, for situations that will never happen.
You cut promos on your kids?
Oh yeah, by myself.
Listen here, Billy. You don't learn your math.
You know what's kind of fun about being a dad of a 5 and a 3-year-old is you kind of cut promos when they mess up.
Okay, explain.
You kind of do it. Like you're just like, you know what? Let me tell you, I go to work and I come home every night and I have to hear how you're backsassing your mother.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what's going to happen tonight. You're going to fill up this bin and you're going to put all your favorite toys in it. And you are going to feel the thunder of Dad's wrath. Like, I will learn what I watched as a kid. And and then I know my wife is rolling her eyes in the other room. Yeah. But,
it's so funny.
Yeah. It all comes back to wrestling. It really does.
Back to wrestling.
Yeah.
My one of the proudest moments I had as a father was when, and it's gonna sound really sad, but when John Cena beat Cody Rhodes in WrestleMania, my son literally was like freaking out and crying and shit.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, I just remember being there. I remember that when I was a little kid and like Stone Cold lost or something, and I just was a wreck.
Yeah,
and he was a wreck, and he was
because he's such a Cody Rhodes fan.
He was a huge Cody Rhodes,
okay.
And he was like saying like, I'm gonna go to John Cena's house, and I'm gonna throw him out the window, which is like I guess really hardcore.
Yeah,
but I was like, all right, buddy, it's just we gotta. Then I tried to explain. He's like, but then he was like, I'm done watching this. I'm like, no, you gotta watch it because you gotta see. Because Cody Rhodes will be back.
Oh, yeah.
See,
he needs to persevere.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. He's going to overcome and reclimb the mountain. I kind of understand that because it's kind of funny what your interests are. Your kids will also just gradually pick up on because all of our kids they emulate us no matter what. So if you're watching wrestling at some point, your son just started watching it too because, if dad likes this, I want to check this out. Every Sunday I have NASCAR on.
Yeah.
And a big NASCAR guy. I don't know if I've missed a race in 20 years.
And you watched the whole thing.
And for the most part, it's a little different now. Not to get too nerdy with it, but they race in stages now, so it's not.
What is that all?
It's not exact.
Can you explain to me? Because
sure,
I kind of stopped with the NASCAR thing. Not that I have anything against it, but especially when they started doing the playoffs, I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Big sore point for anybody who is a traditionalist.
Yeah.
So they started doing the playoffs where it used to be every race counted the same from the Daytona 500 to Miami at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Every race was the same amount of points. Miami Homestead.
Yeah.
Homestead, Miami. Yep. And every race was the same. So if you blew an engine in week 2, it meant just as much as blowing an engine in the last week.
Yeah.
And however many points you had at the end of the year, you were the champion.
Yeah.
They changed that because they felt the need to keep up with the, I guess you would call the stick and ball sports, the NBA, MLB, NFL, where you wanted a playoff system.
Okay.
And that just drove a lot of people away.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to simulate drama. Because what would happen is you get a Jeff Gordon or a Dale Earnhardt, traditional guys who are great, would have a 500-point lead. And the season would be over with 3 races to go.
Yeah, and Gordon would always,
and he would just dominate. Yeah, and it would be rarely where the championship would come down to the final race. But it's way different, right? It's he's offering me a Zyn, and my body just does not agree with those. Too strong for me.
These are only threes, man.
Unfortunately, against all the peer pressure I face, I will get
Pussy.
yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that. I just cannot. The fact that we had a few beers on the course and we're having one now. Beer and nicotine have never been a
we should have brought a cooler down here. Is what we should.
We should have. Yeah.
God damn it.
We don't want it a little sloppy at the end.
No,
but
I
let's
had a sloppy podcast one time with a whiskey tasting.
Oh, did you?
I got so fucking drunk.
You'll have to send me that one. I'll have to listen to it.
It's on the net, man.
I only want the train wreck episodes that you've done. I don't want your best. I want the train
the whiskey
wrecks.
tasting one.
Right.
There was one where the whiskey tasting, I was literally reading an email and I just stopped reading it. And
You couldn't do it anymore.
That was
You're gone.
That episode, me and a guy I work with did that, and then it was like 2.5 hours long, and I literally had to cut out like an hour and a half of footage.
Oh, goodness.
We got to talk about Trump and stuff.
Oh goodness.
I had to take it out.
Yeah, I'm not about that. I like
NASCAR.
Yeah.
So
I'm
anyway,
not a politic guy, but I'll talk a little bit about NASCAR for you. What they did is they started breaking up the races. They were basically made cautions in the middle of it. But to justify that, they'll say, okay, we're going to race. Let's say it's a 200 lap race. So we'll have 50 lap stage 1, 50 lap stage 2, and 100 lap final stage.
Okay.
What it does is after 50 laps, they're going to tally up anybody first through 10th all gets a certain amount of points, and that goes towards your regular season total.
Okay.
But we're throwing a caution at lap 50, no matter what the race is doing. They'll do the same at lap 100, and what it does is it bunches them back up.
Yeah.
So then you want to like, oh yeah, we got to, we got to have a caution here. They're going to bunch the cars back up, so you want to tune in. But for a traditionalist like me, the race doesn't start until the third stage now.
Yeah, right.
So I'll mow the lawn.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I'll say I haven't missed a race in 20 years, but really I'm not watching until an hour and a half into the race.
Yeah.
And if my driver wrecks, I go, oh, that's too bad. And
Okay.
I'll catch it on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, my original point is our kids always emulate what we like.
Yeah.
Right. Your son just kind of gravitates to wrestling, likes Cody Rhodes. My son starts watching race cars.
Yeah.
Take a prediction at what, this has nothing to do with racing, but racing is a sponsor driven sport.
Definitely.
If your kids look up at all the cars along the line, what brand name do you think they're going to gravitate towards the most?
Guessing Hooters.
That's what I gravitate to. And by the way, they went bankrupt and they couldn't pay their bill for NASCAR, by the way. They got sued. They had to make a settlement.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We used to be a proper country. No, if you're a 5-year-old.
What are the big sponsors
The
right
big,
now?
if you were a kid.
Is there like a Disney Bluey sponsor?
No, there's not a Disney one. Occasionally there's a Star Wars car, which is kind of Disney. But it's so obvious. You'll get it. I'll give you one more guess, then I'll give it to you.
All right.
You drive around car. It's been a long day. Work's been terrible. You don't know. Your wife's not texting you back. You don't know what's for dinner. And you're like,
McDonald's.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So my son gravitates towards the McDonald's car. He adores Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace is his guy, mostly because he drives a McDonald's car.
Yeah.
He knows Bubba. He knows that Bubba just became a dad. He knows everything about him.
Oh, yeah.
He's obsessed with him. And you know what? As a dad who's like kind of almost projecting his likes.
So you like Bubba Wallace?
Well, I only like him now because I know
of your
everything
kid.
about him because my kid loves him. And my son is so heartbroken if he crashes or if he's like in the top 5 and gets passed. We went to Michigan last summer. And I'll tell you what, you're talking about your son crying and you're almost proud of him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, he loves this. Like he's totally in it. I got him. I did my job as a dad, right? We're at Michigan. Bubba qualifies pretty well, and he takes the lead early in the race.
So
and
your
my
kid's
son,
freaking out.
my son stood up in the grandstands, both hands in the air. You know, he's got the big earplugs on, your big earmuffs on, and he is just screaming. He loves it. Every time around that big 2-mile course, he drives past, leading that whole field of 38, 40 cars.
Yeah.
And he's just loving it. And I wasn't even watching the race anymore. I was just watching him. And that was just like the best feeling, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then long story short, it was a rain delay.
Okay.
All right. And it just poured. So they had to postpone the race till the next day.
Oh, did you stick around?
We stuck. Oh yeah. We
Okay.
stuck around. We drove all the way from, Appleton to Ypsilanti, Michigan. So we're not going to leave.
Yeah.
So we go back the next day, and Bubba got caught up in somebody else's mess.
Oh,
and
no.
it was terrible. I mean, you would have thought, a family member died and right in the stands because he was in my lap, inconsolable for at least a half hour. And it was just like, oh, buddy. And my mom and dad looked at me and they were like, he is just like you, because you would cry, over the, anytime your team would lose as a kid.
Well,
and it was just brutal. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, I got him.
Yeah.
He's going to like this for a long time.
Well, that reminds me of like back, like 4th and 26. Like if you say 4th and 26, I know every time I watch a football game now, if it happens to be 4th and 26, I have a flashback
you cringe
of me lying on my floor, just punching the
You
floor.
don't know. You're like, why didn't Nick Barnett drop farther back into coverage? Why was Darren Sharper playing so deep? Why is Dad? And then your son's like, why is Dad so upset? It's noon on a Sunday.
Yeah. Oh man. But that was another thing I want to talk about. How do you? Because you're one of those guys I talked about last week on the episode. You are on top of sports.
Oh yeah.
But how do you do it? You have 2 little kids.
I have 2 kids.
You
Yeah.
have a career.
Yeah.
Of.
No, stop. Oh. What a yes, I have a career. And you want to know how I
You're a school teacher.
we'll get to teaching it a little bit.
But how do you stand? Like, what do you like? Okay, me as a person that is, I will be honest with you. When you talk about your gambling,
You just spoiled it. You absolutely spoiled my answer.
Is that
and I'm a
how
little offended.
but okay, well,
How do I keep on top of it?
because of gambling.
I gamble.
Yeah,
I love it.
but what do you watch, or what do you read, or how do you stand? Like, how do you know to make the proper bets? Because I have books upstairs on how to sports gamble. Like, I wanted to get into it, and I remember I got into it a little bit. Want to hear my one little gambling story?
I'd love it. I'd love to.
So, Giannis, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We all know Giannis, Bucks player. Not the greatest at free throws, right?
Correct.
So I remember I put some money on the Bucks, and my family and I went to look at Christmas lights at Oshkosh, like Festival of Lights or whatever. And I remember we were driving around looking at these lights, and I had the Bucks game on the radio. And Giannis missed, like, I shit you not, like 5 free throws or something. And we lost the game by like 3 points or something. And he missed 5 free throws. I just remember being so pissed.
And you had money on the Bucks.
Oh yeah, I did. And,
But here's I already know,
And it
because
kinda,
as
like,
a
ruined the whole thing.
compulsive gambler myself, I know where you're going with this story. You could not enjoy the light show
I couldn't.
with your family because you ruined it because you were
Yeah.
You had put money on it.
And I had the Bucks game on. We're looking at these lights, and everyone's like, "Hey, Daddy, look at the star." And I'm like, "Why you missed your free throws?"
I think that is a story the average ordinary man has gone through a dozen times
Yeah.
over, even if you are not a gambler
Yeah.
yourself. And it is so funny how you'll throw
I got out of it,
$5 on
yeah.
a game, and
Yeah.
it will turn you into a madman.
And that's all it was. I think it was
Because
like $10
you
bet or
get
something.
sucked in so quickly.
But so if I wanted to get back into gambling, which I kind of do, how do you, like, what do you even, because like I was watching Sports Center the other day actually, and it wasn't even like Sports Center that I grew up on. It was like not even like, I just want something that's going to tell me what I need to know. None of the other fluffy bullshit. Just like,
Well, I think if
This is what's going on.
you needed to know what you want to know, you would be like everybody would do it, and we'd all be millionaires.
yeah, I guess.
I think it's all a fugazi.
But how do you guys know, like when you guys were talking about tonight we were watching the Brewers against the, I don't even remember who they're playing.
Orioles.
Orioles, yeah. And it was, yeah, and this is why I stopped watching, because it was 4-1 when we got to the bar, and it was 4-4 when we left. I don't know what it is, if they won or lost, but it's like they always just seem to blow it when I watch. But anyway, but you guys were talking like, well, you got to watch out for these guys in the West, and I was like, how do you know this shit? Like, how do you stay on top of it? Like, I have a hard time enough staying on top of my team in Wisconsin.
Well, it used to be you get the newspaper in the morning, and
Yeah.
as you ate your cereal, you'd look at the standings,
Yeah.
and then you'd look at the RBI leaders. I remember my local paper growing up, we would have everything, the transactions, and there would be a legitimate write-up on most of the games, even if it was just 2-3 paragraphs. And I would read through that thing. I would comb through it.
Really?
Yeah.
Every morning.
I have some magazines from 95, 96, 97 that I kept. And you can tell I read them so many times the pages are falling apart.
Yeah.
You know, that's first. So like I was
these are
very
sports magazines. Or
yeah.
Playboys?
Oh no. We went to my grandpa's house for that.
So I got a Pamela Anderson edition.
Oh, nice.
Of Playboy.
Yeah, good for you.
To this day.
I can't wait till your kids find that.
It's just one thick piece of paper.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
The pages
100%.
don't
Yeah. But then, so that was the old routine,
Yeah.
right? Everybody would get the paper, you'd read it,
Yeah.
and you kind of get to know the players, even if you didn't get to watch them on TV because we didn't have cable or anything like that. But you knew them through the paper. Now, the routine changes a little bit. I like to go on my phone and read ESPN.com or NFL.com or Twitter. I guess we call it X now.
Yeah.
And you just follow the right people. I think the problem with gambling is you really feel like you have an edge when you're following your team.
Mhm.
The problem is that makes you very biased.
Yeah.
Because there's two biases. I'm a big Viking fan. Okay.
Yeah.
and
You're
as
Minnesota. You got a Viking.
I'm wearing a Viking shirt right now.
I can't ever let you in my house.
I hit a birdie today in this Viking shirt.
Yeah, you did.
I
You
did.
got a
I was the
birdie.
only birdie of the day. Rolled in a
Yes, you were.
17-footer while you were in the urinal, and you couldn't cheer me on, even though
We were on the same team.
we were on the same team.
Yeah, I had to go so bad, and I actually didn't go in the urinal. I went next to it. I'm the guy that goes
That's
next
disturbing.
to the urinal.
That is
Well,
that's
I don't-
grotesque. I'm sorry.
I know there's something about golfing. I don't pee inside when I
Okay.
golf. When I golf, I pee outdoors.
All right.
Even if there's a urinal,
Jeez almighty.
even if there's urinal available,
I'm never taking you to a nice place. We'll get kicked out of there by hole
I'm
3.
not gonna piss in the corner
Right,
of a building. I'm just
right.
saying. You're gonna tell me right now that if that Whistling Straits, probably the nicest course in town here or in
Okay,
the area.
sure.
You're gonna tell me that those guys ain't pissing outside? Probably not, actually.
You know, I know somebody who caddies there. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, you have to be, and
Right.
let me know because I think you almost
Because this is the
yeah,
important things we need to know in 2025 in this divisive time is whether or not people are going to the bathroom outside at the nicest courses in Wisconsin.
I would have to think they are.
You know, we give the boomers a lot of flack because they refuse to give up power and they control the country and all the money.
Yeah, those old
And
people.
then they look at us and we're talking about whether or not people are peeing outside or not. And you gotta just look at it from their perspective and go, yeah, I know they're 40 to 45 to 50, but they're not ready. They are not ready. I don't even know if they should be parents. What were we even talking about? We were talking about me being the Vikings.
Are you gonna, okay?
Okay, so what?
Wait, hold on. Are you gonna sit there and tell me that it's spring? It's spring right now. Do you have a fenced-in backyard?
I do.
Do you take a piss out in your backyard?
I do not, because there is a neighbor that's got a 2-story house,
Okay.
and I believe there is a woman that lives there. It used to be just guys, and I'd probably be a little more comfortable with that. But there is a woman that, and
Is
there's.
she looking out the window all the time?
I don't know if she is or not, but I'm not going to take that risk.
I'll put it this way:
This is the Me Too era, J-Kenn.
when the weather was nice,
My son's at the other.
Yeah.
My son's on the other hand. It's anything goes.
My son went outside the other day to take a piss. We were
Did he?
inside. We were inside.
He went inside.
We were inside the house.
Do you give him lectures on water use? Is that
He
what's
went
going on?
outside to go to the bathroom, and that was one of those. That was another one of those proud dad moments. I'm like, yeah, the weather's nice.
Yeah. Right. I think that flies a little more in my hometown, but like,
Well, you live in the city,
I personally, I live in the city, and
Yeah.
I personally do not, just because, you never
You
know.
should try it
You just
sometime.
never know. Well, I've tried it plenty of times, just not in the middle of Appleton, Wisconsin. Yeah. But back on gambling,
Yeah.
the trap, I think, is you're always biased. I'm a pessimist Viking fan. I always think we're going to lose.
As
So
you
if I
should.
place a bet, I usually place it on the other team. I call it happiness insurance.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure we're going to lose, right? The
So
problem
either
is
way,
the
you're
Vikings
happy.
usually win historically. They win way more than they lose.
I was
They're
just-
actually a pretty good team.
I was just going to say,
They just lose in the playoffs.
In my lifetime, the Vikings always seem to be good.
They've
every
always
year.
been good.
They
There's
just
really
can't-
not a time where they were in the doldrums. There's not like a decades period worth of time
No.
they were terrible.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They've always been
On the
kind of a
reverse
good team.
side of that, I have so much Packer trauma from Aaron Rodgers beating the doors off of us.
Yeah.
I always think the Packers are going to win. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to be it from a gambling perspective, if I'm biased, I want to place money on the Packers because they always win.
Right.
Except they don't.
But they don't. Right.
Exactly. So you have to be aware of the teams you know the most about usually don't work well.
So you gotta,
What I like to do is I like to find an edge in sports that really people don't know a lot. So for example,
Like the
my buddy and
Chargers.
I love to bet. Let's go back to racing.
Oh, okay.
We love to bet NASCAR
All right.
because I've been watching it my whole life. And what I like to do about that is it's not just the ability like in football or
Mhm.
basketball or baseball. You know, you got your guys who have the more ability. You're also depending on the machine that's driving. So
Okay.
there's certain teams that are really better. So what I like to do is not necessarily bet on who's going to win the race, but you can bet on what's called a matchup. And you just really look for mismatches, not necessarily in the driver's ability, but in the quality of the ride they're in.
Oh.
Because some teams have way better engine department. Some teams have way better aero department than
Sure.
others. And if you're really nerdy about it and have been following it a while, you kind of understand that. And my buddy and I have had a really big edge in that for a long time. And what we've found out now is finally the books are catching up. So our time is kind of at
Kinda
an
come to
end.
All
Yeah.
right.
But it's been fun up until that point.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you how you bet on NASCAR because there's how many people are in the field? 40 or no,
There used to be
50.
43, and now
43.
it's down to 38 as kind of the league. I guess I don't know, league's not the right word, but
Yeah.
you know the field is
that's
expanded.
the word they
Very-
would like you to
It's
say.
very expensive. It's very expensive.
Back in the day,
I
you
think
could
it's
just,
like 35 million a year to run a car,
Really?
a single car.
that's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah, when we were kids, you're like, oh yeah, Bill Elliott drove the McDonald's car. Jeff Gordon drove the DuPont car.
yeah.
You tune in now, and every driver has about 4 or 5 sponsors. So
Oh, it's not even a car.
you
it's just-
can't follow the same paint scheme. You can't just turn on the TV and look for the Tide car anymore, because whoever drove the Tide car might be driving the God knows what
Yeah.
car.
Is anyone
know.
driving kind of? Is Interstate Batteries have kind of a main sponsorship?
They used to be, but now they're not. So they still stick with that was the old Bobby Labonte
Yeah,
car.
that was my favorite driver.
Yeah,
back in the
yeah,
day,
yeah. So Bobby Labonte drove for
number 18,
Joe Gibbs. He drove for Joe
Yeah.
Gibbs, and Interstate will still sponsor Joe Gibbs racing, but probably only about 6 or 7. I don't fact check me on that, but it's very sporadic. So
Okay.
it changes as time's gone by.
See, I don't like
As
that
the world's
either.
gotten more expensive, it's the product has suffered. I feel like that's the same with a lot of sports, though.
That's crazy, man. Do you ever watch NHRA?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been watching it a lot because my former favorite driver, Tony Stewart,
Yeah.
has now hopped into NHRA, and he actually has won. He's over 50 years old.
Yeah.
He's won the last 2 events.
What's he? Is he Top Fuel?
Top Fuel. He's won the
Fuel
last 2
Dragsters?
Top Fuel events, which is pretty remarkable
Yeah.
considering he picked it up after 50 years
Is
old.
John Force still racing?
I do
Or is
not
he
know
out?
that.
He was. The
I'm going to be honest. I don't know what it is. I don't know anything about the cars. I do know that the personalities make it fun, which is true for a lot
yeah.
of
So there's
racing
Top Fuel
sports.
Dragsters. That's like the. I feel like those are the coolest cars. Those are the long ones.
The
Then
long
there's-
noses
then
on
there's
'em.
Top Fuel funny cars.
Funny car.
Then there's Pro Stock cars, and then there's the motorcycle. I was always a Pro Stock motorcycle guy. And those are the main ones. And there's other divisions too, but those are the 4 that you would see on TV. But, I feel like we talked mostly about wrestling and NASCAR, and I think a lot of people have turned off their.
Right. Why don't we talk about something different? Let's
What's
talk about.
your-
Here, let me
your
ask you
career
this:
as a teacher?
a teacher? Sure. Oh boy, where to start?
Well, you're a hero first of
Oh,
all.
stop it. That is a facetious term that is just thrown around a lot. But I appreciate the sentiment. I wish you wouldn't laugh while you say that. Yes, teaching 16 years middle school.
That
All over the state.
I am going to tell you that is an achievement. I know you don't like to brag, but that is an achievement, dealing with those kids.
And you know what the thing is? I wish it was like a law that every citizen had to go into a public school for one day a year.
Yeah.
And just to witness the insanity that we do on a daily basis. I think last week I was telling my class, I was telling them, if I wrote all of you down into a book and just talked about you as characters, my dad would think I made you all up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you would just never believe it. I mean, the level that our public school system is it's so much different than when we were kids.
Yeah.
Because we don't just teach our subject anymore. We have to teach to what they like to say is the whole child.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just not an academic sense anymore. Like, I am a math and science teacher. Once in a while, I teach what's called humanities, so your English and your history.
Okay.
Right? I just can't teach my subject. If you want to be a successful teacher nowadays, you really got to get entrenched in knowing what these kids are about. And through subtle different ways, you ask them about their home lives, and you ask them to do writing prompts, and you ask them what they like to do outside of class.
Actually, it sounds kind of good.
It
right?
is, but it's a lot of work too. Because if you come into my room and you're like, what are you teaching today? I could tell you I'm teaching the areas of circles and how we're going to find the radius if I give you the diameter of something, or in science we're teaching the tectonic plates. But what you don't see is that 3 kids are unloading their problems on you before class starts because the day just started, or somebody is really excited to tell you about something that happened on the weekend.
Yeah.
Or, for example, I took my student council kids on a fun run on Saturday. They volunteered. I was very proud of them. They did very well, just helping out at water stations and stuff like that. And they just want to share about that.
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's very cool. But if you're not willing to go beyond what you want to teach, you're going to have a very tough time. You're going to burn out very quickly because kids know way more about the world than we ever did
at that
age. We were just so into our own little itty bitty world. Now you got to remember, because what we knew is what the kids above you told you, or what your parents told you, and there was no way to fact check that. Because if I think back, not to when I was a kid, not everybody even had the internet.
I remember
there were houses I know of. I had a lot of friends who didn't have the internet, so they'd come over and need to work on projects at my house because we had dial-up.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we had a computer and it wasn't set up. Like, we had a computer, but it was just like sitting on the floor in the spare bedroom. You
could play pinball and solitaire, free cell, and Minesweeper.
Well, my dad, that's all he did was played solitaire on the computer. Like, and he was really good at it too. Like, he would get these records in solitaire.
Oh, jeez.
He was always playing solitaire on the computer, and then it was incredible. Actually, like, he would just be playing solitaire.
Right.
That's why we had a computer, was to play solitaire.
Oh my.
I mean, it was incredible. And then I remember there was other things you could do on it. Like, you could speak into it and like record your voice and make a weird voice. But it's just crazy how different the computers are. Not the computers, but just like what you can do on them. Like, but we did, like, the internet. Yeah, like, I don't even know if we went on the internet. We just played solitaire and had played with that voice game.
Yeah, and the thing about kids now
Oregon Trail. We played a lot of Oregon Trail.
Right. I remember fighting over that in second grade with one computer, a 5.5-inch floppy disk.
Yeah.
And you have to pop it out and flip it over. And there was only one computer, so it was like a big deal if it was your turn to play on it. And you had to like literally type in what the commands of what you wanted to do. We had to be pretty advanced for back then.
It's funny that a floppy disk is still the symbol for save.
I bet you almost nobody knows what that is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They barely know what a CD is.
It's a save symbol.
I have a record player in my classroom. It's kind of a novelty, fun thing to do. They argue about who gets to flip it over if I have like Mozart playing during a concert.
Mozart?
Oh yeah. It's scientifically proven that the only type of music you should be listening to while you're trying to do your homework is like a classical or non-lyrical music.
Really?
So I have a lot of thrift store 50-cent records that I like to flip over. Jazz is like, that's a popular one.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Morris, put in some jazz music. Okay, yeah, buddy, okay, let's do that. But they like the novelty of having to pick the stylist up, setting it down,
you should
flipping
get some,
it,
like Pink
moving
Floyd
around.
or something.
Yeah, that goes against what I tell them because they all want to pop in their AirPods and listen. And I'm like, no lyrics. That's not what we do around here.
Pink Floyd has some really 18-minute long songs where there's no words.
Yeah, you're already one of those kids in class that I'm going to call their parents. I can just tell. You're just trying to bend the rules already. Oh, back to my point with the
Mr.
modern.
Morris, can you play the B-side of Rush's 2112, please?
Oh, jeez. And I'll be like, you are 4 assignments behind. What are we talking about?
I got a question I want to ask you. A legit question.
Yeah.
Do you feel, and this was when I was in grade school, or has this maybe changed? I feel like it hasn't, but I hope it has, that being smart is not cool. Because I remember back when I was in school, like it was like if you were smart, that wasn't cool. You were a nerd. And then like the cool kids were always like 4 or 5 or sometimes even more assignments behind. And those were the cool kids like, I didn't get to it, blah, blah, blah. And then like you were almost like not cool if you were smart. Is that still a thing or is that?
I think there's still, and this is just society as a whole. It's easier to take the path of least resistance, right?
Right.
It's cooler to take the path of least resistance. So if you want to put your head down and not care about what the teacher says, you can still stand out in that way.
Yeah.
Right. And you can still get your little cred for that. The problem is I can go to a college lecture right now and do the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get me anywhere. Unfortunately, a kid doesn't know that yet.
Right.
And so there is a little bit of element to that. I believe the term when we were kids was called a prep, right? A preppy kid would be the one who is always doing the extra assignment and stuff like that. We try to do extra praise for those kids. They'll earn extra raffle tickets for doing stuff like that. Like, for example, today I had an assignment set out. You need this is the stopping point. If you want to move on and work on tomorrow's stuff, you can. And what I can do is on my computer, on my end, I can see who's working ahead.
Okay.
I jot those kids' names down. I give them some extra raffle tickets for the end of the year raffle. I kind of out of my way say, hey, these 4 people, good job. I'm not announcing it to the whole class. I'm just being extra loud. Hey, come up here. I got some extra tickets for you. Good job. Appreciate your effort.
So then the other kids
I'm more of an
kinda
effort-based person rather than the end result.
Okay.
Because what I found out over the years is that, J-Kenn, you could hop into my classroom tomorrow, and the A students are still going to get A's.
All right, I got
you. Know what I mean? They don't really need you.
Yeah,
they don't need me. They really don't.
Okay.
They're still going to find a way. And in the internet world, that's more true than ever. Let's say you come in as my substitute teacher tomorrow, and you can't teach alternate angles or whatever in a geometry lesson. They'll go on the internet and find the answer.
And they will.
And they will because they want to succeed and they want to get that answer. The trick is getting the middle and the bottom to buy in. And that's when I think that's where my 16 years come in a little bit. It helps a lot where you kind of have to meet the kids halfway.
Yeah.
You don't need them to all want to get 100% or whatever. But what I do want them to do is understand the difference between the highest achieving kids in class and you is more effort. That's really all it is. And because we all come from different backgrounds. Like, for example, I'm sure you read to your kids all the time. I read to my kids all the time. So they're going to come into kindergarten a little more ahead as far as their letters and their numbers and their counting goes. But really, at a certain point, once the internet's discovered, it's a level playing field. And however fast you want to move up or kind of stay plateaued, really doesn't, it's hard to see a difference. If you really want to catch up in a hurry, you can, especially with all the different programs and the free online things and YouTube. Right? YouTube is just a godsend for kids, and we discovered that during those COVID years.
It's a godsend for us. I mean, the thing, just as an adult, anything I do, I go on YouTube, check out a video quick. The
I'm
refrigerator's
not sure if I'm doing
working.
this right. I just aerated my lawn
Yeah.
So what did I do for the previous day? I probably watched 20 videos on aerating lawns, and even if I felt like I had the understanding of how to do it, I watched 3 or 4 more.
Yeah.
Just because the next guy's opinion might be a little different,
Right.
but there will be a common theme underneath, and that's what I'm going to go with.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, we live in an era now where I don't want to say the teacher is not irrelevant. The teacher is important because they need to still be facilitating the learning in the room. They just don't really need to be the deliverer of the knowledge, because the kids can find that themselves. Really what it comes down to is during a long middle school class, you got to hop kid to kid, and you really need to talk to them. You got to look for those kids that are not having a good day. For example, in my school, we got a lot of kids that you don't know what's going on after school and at night. And, work time is not time for me to be at my desk. And it's time to just mingle with them and talk to them, right?
Cool
and
you, man.
right. And but
you are a hero.
But,
That's dude.
That's not hero stuff. That's just being a good person.
Okay.
Like
Right.
and people want to say that, but honestly, what keeps me going is just if I wanted to do my content all the time, it would be boring.
Yeah.
I've been teaching the same stuff now for a long time. I've done 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math, and it's kind of all the same.
Okay.
Some is a little bit harder and some is a little bit easier depending on the grade, but I can just show up and teach it.
Yeah.
But every group of kids every year is different.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the kids you meet are just hilarious.
Yeah.
And they come from the craziest backgrounds and the craziest backstories. But it's just fun to learn each and every one of them every year. And then you kind of see them off, and a whole group ones come in.
Whole new
Yep.
people come in.
But I think that the difference is if a kid comes back a year or 2 later, and I'll be like, hey, how's your mom doing? Or how's your...
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly, because you remember those conversations with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big difference. I'll be the first to admit I'm not the greatest math teacher in the world. I don't really know if whatever I decide how I'm going to do the lesson is the best, most effective way for every kid in the room to learn. But I do know what matters is you can just really go out that extra effort and ask people about their lives, ask kids about their lives. You can sit down and do math problems and also ask them, what'd you watch on TV last night? Okay, what video games you playing?
Mm-hmm.
And instantly, just from asking a kid that question, they'll do an extra problem or 2 for you.
Yeah,
that's why I like doing it, and that's why I think I've stuck around enough.
There's got to be, there's every job there's this, and I don't know what it would be for teaching, but every job it seems like there's this burnout phase where like, I was just talking because I got doing this real estate thing, and I was talking to a guy today about real estate, and he says that like 80% of people that get into real estate, like after a year they stop. There's got to be something similar with teachers where it's like you do it for
I believe
a
a teacher after about 3 years, I think almost 40% drop out.
Really? No shit.
They don't make it more than 3 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's tough. Teaching is really hard. It's a big shell shock. I don't think colleges do the best job of preparing us for the grind.
Yeah.
It's too focused on content and not reality. The reality is you are going to be entrenched with these kids' lives for 180 days, and that takes a big toll. It really does, because you always are flirting that fine line between you understand this kid's backstory, you know what they're going home to, but at the same time, you can't have their heads down at the beginning of all class the whole time.
Yeah.
Because your job at the end of the day is to still teach.
Yeah.
So you're always walking that fine balance, and it really can rag on you after a while.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a big, but it is so fun. Every day is different. That's the one thing I do like about my job is when you walk through those doors, you have no idea what's going to happen that day. Yeah, when all the kids came back from I don't know if your son is into Minecraft.
Yeah, dude.
Did you go to the Minecraft movie?
No, but
oh, that was just the talk of the town for 2 weeks.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, so it's funny because he's 6 and he's into Minecraft because his cousin is, I think. But like we have this little like story box. So like every night we put him down to bed, and then I got 2 girls that. How we're doing it is, one night I'll put the kids down, and then the next night my wife will put the kids down. So what we do is with my son, we'll be like, okay, I'm going to put the girls down. You can listen to this while I'm putting the girls down.
Got it.
It's like this little box you put a card in. You can listen to like all these different stories.
Is it a Tony box?
Well,
Or kind of like
we
a
have
competitor?
Yeah, right. It's like a competitor. We have a Tony box too. The girls have a Tony box. And my son has the knockoff brand of Tony box.
He's going to find that out someday.
Yeah, he's going to be pissed. But he's really big into Diary of a Wimpy Kid right now.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all he
Sure.
listens to. But he was on this Minecraft kick, I think because his cousin was. But
Sure. My nephew is huge into Minecraft.
But
My son, I don't even know what it is. I can't educate. I
Like,
can't be educated on the subject because I really don't know. I do know that like the days leading up to the Minecraft movie coming out, the kids were just stoked at school about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were repeating all the lines from the trailer. They were begging me to play the trailer in the last 3 minutes of class.
Yeah.
And they would just scream. And the kids were saying the theater was like the craziest experience of their life because it was all full of kids just like them, running around yelling during the movie
Jeez.
because they would all know the lines and none of them cared.
Yeah.
They were just it was the greatest
Well,
day
it's
of their
no
lives.
different than you and me repeating the lines of Kingpin tonight.
Oh, exactly. Oh my gosh.
Same thing.
I can't believe our common friend had never seen that.
Yeah, that was actually
What-
kind of disappointing, actually.
We should kidnap him and make him watch it.
Yeah, and the thing about the way he was talking, like, I don't think he would appreciate it. Like, the way he was talking, like, I
Right.
think I'm too old. Like, that kind of pissed me off when he said
Right.
that. I think I'm too old to understand it.
And
Like-
I don't know if too old is the same way I feel, but there are some movies I still have not watched it yet that I need to watch because I feel like I'm not mature enough for them yet.
What would be a
I've
movie?
never watched Inception
Oh.
because I don't think I'm ready for it.
Is that the one where they, like, dream about
Yes,
Yeah.
and Leo DiCaprio's going through multiple dreams and dimensions. I still, to this day, have
Yeah.
never watched it. I own the movie.
Do you really?
I have it, and I stare at it once in a while and go, maybe
That's a
tonight's
Christopher
the night.
Nolan, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
which I love, and I have never watched it.
Does he
I've
have-
also never watched Training Day, which I hear is
it's,
excellent, and I just don't know if I'm mature enough for it yet.
With Denzel.
Yeah, I know I'm ready for that one, but I just don't. I mean, that's just a silly thought in my head. At some point, you just hold certain things off because it's like the novelty. It's like the silly little games you play in your own head. I'm not ready for that.
I'm trying to think of a movie that I watched. Like, what's really funny is I watched a lot of movies when I was a little kid that I shouldn't have,
Oh,
and now
my parents were very strict about what I watched.
see mine. Mine weren't. Like, I remember being very little watching Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Oh, sure.
And like not understanding, like when Ace Ventura is like, that's the kind of surgery you can have done over the weekend. Like, I was like,
yes.
I don't, I just remember laughing at stuff, or when right in the beginning when he finds that girl's puppy and then she goes down and he's like, ugh, and I'm like, I wonder what she's doing down
Right.
there.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny. Like I'll go back and my wife and I were like, oh, we should show the kids this stuff. We used to
Yeah.
watch this as kids, and then even on Disney Plus, we're like, oh my gosh, like we need to shut this off.
Yeah. No, I know. We were.
And what's funny is you just let it play. They don't know what's going on.
Well, that's
and
the thing.
and just like my parents were, they're probably in the back laughing
Yeah.
because they don't. They would look at me going, he doesn't know
Mhm.
what this is, and that's how we should be the same way too.
And that is how we should be, exactly.
Right.
But like we were watching, you know what, Disney really, like, I know Disney is so like whatever nowadays, but like back in the 90s, they like Heavyweights. You remember Heavyweights? That movie Heavyweights?
I can't say I don't
Ben
remember
Stiller. Oh,
You're gonna have to send
you
that
gotta
one to me.
watch Heavyweights.
Heavyweights,
That's about
okay.
these kids go to this fat camp.
Oh, you know what? I've seen clips because that
Yeah.
movie floats. The clips from that movie float around on Twitter
Ben
all the time.
Stiller's in it.
Yeah.
And then as Tony Pincus, and then
Okay,
his dad's in it. Jerry Stiller is.
I
the
can't say
owner
I've
of this
watched
camp.
it, but I do know
That movie,
clips from it.
And it's just so funny because like that movie is like, you watch that and you're like, that's a Disney movie. And it's just so funny.
Right.
It's hilarious. I would watch it to this day. But there's all sorts of movies like that. I don't know. 90s were so freaking awesome, man.
Oh, it was the best.
But I remember watching all those movies, and like I said, Ace Ventura, all of them, and just not getting it. And then I remember my dad talk. My dad, I'm a big Bob and Tom fan. You ever watch Bob?
I have listened to my uncle. Was big into Bob and Tom, and he had CDs. And what's funny is he would be at work. I'd go to his house because I had to mow his lawn. He had a big old lawn in the back.
Oh, nice.
And he would have Bob and Tom CDs.
Yeah.
And I had one of those old Walkmans. You know, you try to shove it into your jeans pocket, which didn't fit, but it barely would. Like just the nose of the Walkman would. And I would put those in, and I would just laugh.
Yeah, I remember. Like it's so funny because my dad would take me to school in the morning. He would listen to Bob and Tom, and he'd be laughing his ass off. And my dad still says this day, like, you'd be like, what's so funny? You know, he's like, nothing, you know?
Right.
And now I take my kids to school and I listen to Bob and Tom. I'm just it's so funny because it's like a father passed down.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You pass that down.
I'm listening and I'm laughing my ass off. And Mason's just like, why is that funny, Dad? I'm like, you'll learn something.
Right. I think I have that with movies that I'll pass down to my kids, but I don't have a radio program. Like, eventually one day I'm going to be like, all right, hon, the boys are going to watch Caddyshack tonight.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the old ones. It's not going to be censored. It's this is what it is, and they have to watch it.
Yeah.
And she's going to be like, okay. And I'll be like, you need to stay upstairs.
Yeah. Caddyshack, the original Vacation. All those movies. You know, we were talking about. So I was talking about the Farrelly brothers, which was kind of surprised that you didn't know who you know all the.
I know
movies,
of them, but I wouldn't know the name when you shared that to me because I shared at the bar tonight having an average, ordinary conversation. The Roger Clemens fact.
Yes.
That
and you knew
he
that.
was
Yeah,
scheduled
he was
for the role of Seabass.
Yeah.
But for some reason could not come,
Yeah.
and he wasn't allowed to. I think he wasn't allowed to. They wouldn't let him leave.
But then he got the role.
But
in
then
Kingpin.
those brothers promised him a role in Kingpin.
Yeah.
So he did get one along the way.
But the reason I bring that up is because there's another John Hughes. You know John Hughes? That name ring a bell?
No.
So he was a producer / writer / director of many movies that you will know of. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
The Vacation movies. Home Alone.
Sure.
He just had an insane amount of... The Great Outdoors?
You're going to have to give me a few actors.
Great Outdoors, John Candy, Dan Aykroyd.
Okay.
If you haven't seen
again,
it,
it's there's so many things now that we're average, ordinary age.
Yeah. But
there's so many things that I watched as a kid that are out of my memory. But if you popped it in, I'd go, "Oh yeah, I got it. I remember this."
That's the one where Dan Aykroyd has John Candy on a speedboat and he's skiing all around the lake.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what the hell does he say? Or he's like, "You bastard!" He's like, "You bastard!" And he's like, "What is he saying?" He's like, "Faster, faster!"
Oh,
it's so stupid,
yeah,
but it's just
silly
classic.
jokes like that.
It's
Yep.
my favorite.
Right.
I hate to cut this short, but we've been talking for an hour and 2 minutes.
We have not been talking that long.
Hour and 2 minutes.
Wow.
And usually we only talk, usually 30.
Well, right.
But we've been having a good time.
Okay.
But for the sake of it's 10:30, so you got to get home and take care of those kids tomorrow. So
They're my kids at school. Yeah, they'll be fine.
Not your personal.
They'll be fine.
So we're gonna do some emails and messages. Are you ready for this?
Okay. Am I allowed to comment on
You
this?
can comment, yeah.
Sure. I'll chime in.
So, first of all, I just want everyone to know that this is the season finale of the Ordinary Average Guy podcast show. I'm going to take a little break, just a little one, just so I can kind of regroup here, figure out how season 2's going to go.
He's bankrupt and he's losing his house.
Yes.
That's what's going on.
I'm going to hold on to these microphones. They're not taking these from me. But I really want you guys to start sending emails and messages. That's what I really want. I would love it for the show to be primarily emails and messages because this is the best part of the show. So you can email me. Continue to email me at jkennoag@outlook.com and continue to message me at the Ordinary Average Guy podcast show on Facebook. And then also hit subscribe on how you listen to this. So when I come out with episode 1 of season 2, you see it. All right. The first email here is from Anonymous.
It's too late at night for you.
That's
Anonymous.
Anonymous.
It's really not that hard. Anonymous.
Anonymous. Okay. Anonymous. This is from Anonymous. Mother's Day opinion.
Ooh.
All right. So last week I had a Mother's Day opinion.
Okay.
Maybe you can.
This
chime
could
in
go
on
any
this.
way. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I was nervous when I got the
Okay.
question. Look, so the email last week was, how do you do it when you have your own mother, but now you have a wife who is a mother of your own kids?
Correct.
Who gets the Mother's Day? Who gets it?
Are you going first or me?
I already said my opinion.
Okay, I as an average ordinary listener, I catch every 5th episode.
Yeah.
So I missed it. So can I give my opinion?
Yes.
And then you can tell me what yours was.
Okay.
Okay, you go to your wife every single time. You choose it 100 out of 100 times.
I said it essentially the same thing, not as I said it, not as hardcore as that, but that's essentially what I said too. I said the older mothers, we're still going to text you, we're still going to call you. You can still actually join in if you want, if there's a good relationship there. But it is the new mothers. And I actually promoted Grandparents' Day. There's a Grandparents' Day.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I know I don't want to do yet another thing, but for the sake of keeping our wives sane, let's have Grandparents' Day, and that'll be all about that.
And I would take it maybe a little step further, is that Mother's Day really and Father's Day, just like Christmas and Easter, are really about kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's about celebrating somebody in your life.
Good
and
point.
The kids need to celebrate their mother.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you have kids yourself, hopefully you have a good enough relationship with your own mother that that you would hope that they understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like for me, I'm going to set aside time maybe the week before, a day after. I might drive up because I'm lucky enough that I'm like with an hour and a half of my own mom.
Yeah.
We went up on the Saturday before.
Gotcha.
Just for the day.
Yeah.
We had a good time. We'd drop off the hanging basket and make sure that, grandma gets her time too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the end of the day, Mother's Day is still about not just your wife, but it's about the kids too. That is my opinion. And it's about, it's your father's role. Like for me, I have 2 boys, so there's no girls in the house.
Right.
Other than their mother, it's another opportunity for the father to teach his sons about how you treat a woman properly.
Great. Dude.
That is 100% the reason behind Mother's Day. And if you have a mother who cannot, an older mother who cannot understand that, then you're going to have to sit down and have a conversation with that person.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, your time is up.
Yeah.
And is that the hardcore opinion of the day? And I don't mean that in a life perspective, but like you already did a good job. You know what? You did your time, and I'm sorry you feel that way. You'll get the call. You'll get the text.
Yeah,
we'll go see you. It's just not going to be on the actual day because you had 18 Mother's Days already that were all about you.
Craig, you knocked that on the park. And if you're like me, I'm also.
I wrote that email, by the way. Just kidding. I would never waste my time writing an email.
And I'm also, hey, come on. And I'm also promoting Grandparents' Day as well. So
that's cool. My kids make little projects on Grandparents' Day and stuff.
So anyway, we never even read the email here. So this is from Anonymous Mother's Day opinion. Person's too afraid to share their name.
I would be too. I'd be ashamed.
Anyway, he or she, I don't know. It's anonymous. They say, I couldn't agree with you more on your opinion of Mother's Day and how it should be spent. I heard someone make a comment that the general rule of thumb should be that it's celebrated for those that have kids currently in the house.
I agree 100%.
And then they go on to say, should we celebrate, acknowledge, and appreciate all moms? ? Of course, with an exclamation point. But the actual planning of the day should be decided by the mom with kids in the house without, all caps, feeling guilty of what she ends up deciding. Sincerely, a mom who just wants less stress on Mother's Day.
And I 100% agree with that. A lot of the things that we do, we just kind of, I know we're the dumb husbands, but like really we do let probably a little bit too much of the decision making go fall on them. Sometimes my wife just wants to know, what are we doing today?
Okay.
And you just say, we're doing this, this, and this, and she is happy as she could be.
Because she
doesn't have to think that day.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Craig, you know what? You're a good teacher. You're a good husband. Sounds like you're a good father.
I try to be. We've had some low moments the last couple of weeks with my kid, but that can be a story from a different time.
Your child tried to murder your other child.
Right, he did.
Something to do with it. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you.
He loves electricity.
My kids don't harm them that bad. My son does a pretty good single leg takedown on my daughter, but that's
another story.
Yeah. So here we have another email message, and this one is from our good dear friend, listener to the show, Christmas Kate.
Oh, I like that.
Great, and she loves Christmas. This is a long one, and she says a couple things in here that if you only listen to every 5 episodes, you might not. Know.
I can fill in the gaps. So I'm good. Remember, I'm a teacher. I'm good on the fly.
That's true. So she says, "Dear Mr. J-Kenn, I am an episode-ish behind, so these comments are probably old news by now, but I'm going to make them anyways, smiley face. First, about your revolution," I'm making a revolution.
Okay.
"You know what Jerry Seinfeld would say about the pop-in." Okay, so I don't know how you feel about this, Craig, but I miss the good old days of when people would just stop in. Like, in all honesty, if I were to just stop in one day and knock on your door, say, "Hey, Craig."
You're so right. I'd be like, "Why are you here? Who did you hurt? And do you need protection?
So if I just...
Do we need to throw your phone in the nearest ravine?"
So that's exactly where your mind would go.
Correct.
I just can't stop.
J-Kenn screwed up bad.
That's where this world is, because I talked about how there used to be people would just stop in.
Correct.
Maybe
I can think of either neighbors, family, friends, or extended family members that would just pop in randomly, have a good talk, and leave. And I feel like that's not. I mean, Christ, if I were to do that, you would literally assume that I murdered somebody. Right.
So I want to do this revolution where we bring that back, because I feel like we're missing that camaraderie.
Correct.
Of that, and the internet's just kind of, we go golfing every 2 weeks now. It's nice to just get together with people.
You know what's nice?
What?
I'm not on my phone the entire time. My phone's off when we're playing. My phone is off the entire time.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's just it really, after about 15 minutes, your body resets, and suddenly it's 20 years ago. And you don't care about anything because there's nothing to care about other than the present moment.
And you also have Cellcom, so
I mean, it's not gonna work anyway. I couldn't call anybody even if you did have your OJ moment on me.
But she says, I don't really know what she means. At Christmas Kate, I apologize, but I don't know what Jerry Seinfeld would say about the pop-in. I feel like he would be okay with it because he always had people popping in.
That's the whole premise of the show. The randomness of just people stopping by, and the plot moves from there.
Right. So but I know Christmas Kate personally, and I feel like she's maybe saying like he would be against it, I think. But I don't think so. I think he would be all about it. So I don't. Sorry, Christmas Kate. I really don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what Jerry Seinfeld would say about the pop-in. You'd probably say, "The pop-in? What? You can't just pop in. You gotta call first." I mean, seriously.
I'll leave the impression up to you.
I do a killer Trump. Gotta pop in. Big poppin' guy here. So big and popping in.
I will only do the Trump if I am about 15 Captain and Cokes deep. That's the only time. That's the only time you'll get me to do that.
The thing about doing a Trump impression is that it doesn't matter who you're doing it to. They could be left or right, and they're gonna love it.
Oh yeah. Because you can do it in a serious way, or you can do it in a totally comedic.
Yeah, you can do it in a totally comedic
caricature way.
Yeah, you can totally do it like where you're like, Yeah, I don't know.
You could actually just quote him verbatim about World War III, and it would still be funny if you were doing an impression.
You see this Zen right here? This is as big as my button on my desk. So big. I just press it. Pressing the button. Goodbye, Russia. Goodbye, Turkey. Pakistan. Not a big Pakistan
I think that's probably
fan.
why they just replaced it with a Diet Coke button instead. Because when he has his moments, all he has to do is get a Diet Coke, and then he forgets about what he was mad about.
Hey, Diet Cokes are pretty cool, dude.
Right.
If I was president, you know that he had a butler that would just serve him Diet Cokes.
I heard that the White House chef had been the chef. This is his first term. Had been the chef for the previous, I don't know how many, 3-4 presidents, making the most ornate meals you could ever imagine. Like you're talking about, if you want to be a chef in this country, what better job than to have the job at the White House, right?
Yeah,
because you are going to be hosting the leaders of the world.
Yeah.
And he was just the chef was just, he made the craziest, most beautiful meals you could ever have, and people just rave about him.
Yeah.
And then Trump gets in office and like, what would you like tonight, sir?
Yeah.
I'd like a Big Mac. Please go get it immediately. And this poor chef was just beside himself, because he'd be like, okay, well, maybe I guess I get the day off. And then the next day he wants Wendy's. So
I want an icy chocolate icy.
He almost got 4 years of doing nothing all the time.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you remember this, but during the
was he a salary employee?
Probably during the government shutdown, I believe Trump invited one of the college football teams to come in, and like they always
remember
did,
that.
and he just ordered a McDonald's.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Snack wrap.
He's not eating the snack wrap.
No. I remember I was going through one of my health kicks, and I remember going to McDonald's drive-thru and getting the snack wraps, and I was like, oh, they're only 100 calories.
If you're on a health kick and you're still pulling in to that drive-thru, I think it's time to up the help.
But it was 100 calories.
At the price of about $70 an hour.
Okay, so Christmas Gate here has a long email. And
okay, back on the email.
So she goes, second, I wonder if someone's preference for name... Okay, we're talking about name brands before. Second, I wonder if someone's preference for name brand items comes from how they were raised, specifically concerning food. I actually have fond memories of eating Piggly Wiggly store brand Pop-Tarts when I was a kid. And although I can tell a difference between them and Kellogg's, for me, Kellogg's doesn't taste any better. Same with Oreos. I can definitely tell the difference between regular Oreos and Great Value, Walmart brand Oreos. But one doesn't taste better than the other to me. And honestly, if I'm buying them, I'm going for the cheaper ones. She has another paragraph here, but let's talk about that for a sec. Do you straight up doesn't matter? It
doesn't really matter to me. She Christmas Kate does make a point where it's kind of based off of how you were raised.
Yes.
I definitely know when Walmart came to town, we switched over to a lot of Great Value foods, and we didn't. My sister and I did not know a difference.
You really?
Yeah, it was fine by that.
I made the comment that I can only eat a Kellogg's Pop-Tart. I can't eat like a
When's the last time you had a Pop-Tart?
I'm proud to say that it was probably a couple months ago. Proud to say. But
looking at you now, it's like, when's the last time you did Coke? That's like asking some strung out guy. Yeah. Looking at you, when's the last time you did a Pop-Tart? And you paused. I don't know if you lied or not.
No, I did not
okay.
lie.
All right.
But
I needed about 3 straight failing health assessments for me to finally make a change. So I get it.
Yeah. Well, you were one of early on. I talked about how I was cutting out sugar.
Right.
You were the main guy behind that. Are you still off no sugar?
Oh yeah. I definitely. It's I have my moments. Like there was a couple times, like even last week, where it's like it's late at night.
Yeah.
There's nobody awake anymore. Right. It's just me.
Yeah.
And there is ice cream for my kids if they eat, if they eat good at dinner, like it's there. But that whole half gallon is just waiting there.
Yeah, it's just waiting.
It's calling my name. You ever see the original Spider-Man?
With
and I did the Green
Tobey
Goblin,
Maguire?
and the Green Goblin's like trying to tell, like he's haunting the guy who's the Green Goblin. The mask is haunting him to put the mask back on. He's like, do it, wear it. Yeah, that's what I feel like. I can hear the refrigerator calling me, and sometimes it's like you got to look at that refrigerator straight in the eyes and say, not today.
Not today.
You might get me tomorrow, but not today, and you got to go to bed. That's the hardest part. It's after 10 o'clock. You can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
we get to a certain point, you just can't do that.
Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock. But
at the bar or in your own fridge.
Yeah, or on your phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think it's how you were raised. Like there was a lot of things that we had when I was raised that now. Well, I talked about previously, like the nutty bars.
Yeah,
like that was something, or the Star Crunch. Like I remember being a kid.
I remember having those. During high school, the a la carte menu, they would have Star Crunches.
I remember eating a Star Crunch and then watching Rocky and Bullwinkle eating a Star Crunch on a Saturday morning. Like, and then what the great thing is like, in all honesty, I do not have. I mean, it's probably like once every 2 years that I have a Star Crunch because I don't even know where they are anymore. But when I do find one and I get one, it takes me back to Saturday morning watching Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I think if I took a bite in one, I'd spit it out.
Really?
Yeah, I think I had too many of them. I used to have them all the time. Do you think our parents, knowing what we know now about how bad that stuff is, do you think they still would have bought it for us?
Our
parents. If you could somehow rewind the clock and be like, look what Craig's going to look like.
But you
in
look
20
fine.
years.
You look fine.
That's because I'm wearing his sweatshirt.
You are.
I'm wearing the most loose fit. Jeez. That's next season's episode.
That's right. It's true.
Yeah, I have the most loose fitting clothing on you could possibly wear. You don't know what's going on under here.
Well,
I mean, you had a whole box of Nutty Bars last week, so I mean,
and
Hawaiian
pizza
you had Hawaiian pizza tonight, and allegedly haven't had a Pop-Tart in what,
months.
3? Would you say 3 weeks?
Just months. That's all I said was months. Starting tomorrow though, I'm getting back on it. I really am because I have.
Do you need me to text you?
Yes, I would love it.
I'm going to text you at about. Wait, when's your time during the day where you feel the most like down, like you have hit the wall?
From 7 to 7.
Oh my god! I'm going to text you. I'm going to guess because you're a lot like me. It's probably around, but somewhere between 1:30 and 2:30.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. It's your post lunch time.
Yeah.
You're looking for you. You did a good amount of work so far, and you feel like you deserve a treat.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna set an alarm on my phone. I'm just gonna text you.
I'll
say, don't do it.
Yes,
that's what I'll send you.
Please do it every day.
And you'll know what
it
is.
Do it every day because I want to get down to 215 is my goal, and then I'm gonna purge. I'm gonna purge all my shit. And it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to be a whole new person in 2026. Whole new person.
You know, that's more than half a year from now.
Well, I got to get down to 215.
Okay.
Now I'm just.
I believe you have to start immediately.
Well, I want to purge, and I'm going to have like all new clothes and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm going to be totally different.
No, you're going to clear out the pantry. You're going to lose the weight.
Yep.
And then
I'm going to buy
new clothes. Because that's the threshold. You get the new size jeans,
and then you
can't expand from that.
You can't,
because this is the line.
I can't get bigger because I need to fit in these jeans. And my thing is, in the summer months, I'm going to I'm going to look like a California dude, like a surfer guy.
Sure.
And then in the winter months, I'm going to look like a Colorado skier guy. That's
okay.
You might think.
You spend a lot of time thinking about you.
Yeah.
And your look.
As my wife would say, I spend a lot of time thinking about me.
I do what I do now. It's like I put my shirt on, I flip my hair up, and I just leave. And at a certain point, that is kind of a freeing part about being in your mid-30s, approaching 40. Yeah. Is you are what you are, and you cut all those things you used to worry about.
Yeah.
It's like totally gone.
I know. I think it's maybe like I'm going through a midlife crisis or something.
I don't think weight loss is a midlife crisis. It's just something that we all strive for.
My whole I'm going to be a totally different person.
I just look in the mirror and I really don't like who I am, and I'm going to just change everything about me and everything that I did to get me to this beautiful life. I'm going to change it by December 31st. Everything I've done to this point has been so bad. I need to change it all. I hope your wife does not listen to the back end of this episode.
Everything I've
She
done,
might take offense
everything
to
I've
some of
done
that.
to get my beautiful wife, my beautiful three kids,
Yeah.
and this house with the white fence. I'm changing it all.
Your son hit a live pitch at T-ball the other day, and you just apparently are not satisfied with that. It's like the only kid on the team that hit a live pitch.
You know what?
I think you should change everything about yourself. Nothing's working. It's a full wood shop in your third stall of the garage. Full wood shop. And by the way, you can drive the ball pretty far too.
Thanks.
Yeah. But on that note, you're a piece of shit.
You know,
I'm glad you talked me into this. This was fun.
Yeah.
We've gone totally off the rails and talked way longer than I thought I'd have the ability to.
I told you it wasn't going to be that hard.
No, I feel like we just sat down.
You really made me think here. Like, what the fuck am I so trying to change here? Life is great.
I mean, you should lay off the nutty bars.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
They're not even real nutty bars. They're off-brand.
Right.
All right, she's got another paragraph here.
Oh, my goodness. Christmas Kate.
Christmas Kate.
Ultimate fan.
She goes, third and lastly, you mentioned milk when talking about off-brand products. That's the one thing that we buy that, well, we buy a lot of stuff apparently, but we always seem to buy the off-brand milk. We don't buy like
Morning Glory.
Yeah, we just always seem to buy the store or whatever. But she goes on to say, different topic, but have you found that more and more people don't even have milk in their house anymore?
Yes.
Yeah, she goes, growing up, we always had milk in the fridge, and we still do, but talking with people and visiting their homes, it seems like more and more people aren't buying milk. Maybe it's because there are more and more people with allergies and other dairy-related issues, but coming from a small town with lots of dairy farms around, it seems odd to me. Sincerely, Christmas Kate. And she goes on to say, P.S. WCW greater than WWF.
Well, first off, that's incorrect. There was a period where they did have the edge, but that's just overall untrue. Because honestly, WCW
is not even
in its heyday just was WWF, just moved over to a new television channel, while the WWF was creating new stars content. and they were just basically had to start over. And what happened is they basically raised a whole crop of new guys to dominate the next 10 years of television.
WCW was never.
If you watch WCW, it's just the 90s the early 90s WWF with a few other characters sprinkled in. But that's beside the point. We've talked about wrestling too much. Yeah. As far as milk goes, I come from a dairy farming town, so it's very weird. I'll ask you this. Have you ever had milk straight from the cow?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's thick. It's creamy.
And it's really good for you.
Yeah, I guess. But the problem is you need to drink it within like 2 days, I believe. And I could be totally wrong about that, but I think you need to drink it immediately if it's coming from straight from the cow.
But I have heard that because I've had it, I grew up, my grandfather had a dairy farm, but yet they would still buy milk. They wouldn't take it out of the bulk tank. But I remember going to like a friend's house who had a dairy farm, and yeah, they would drink milk right out of the bulk tank. And I hear it's called raw milk nowadays. Like all the people do it, and it's supposed to be good for you. But the thing about milk is, one quick thing is like I love milk. I love it.
It's the best.
If I'm having a supper, like if I'm eating supper,
a big glass, tall glass. I'm talking like almost a pint.
Yeah,
maybe more.
And then I'll refill it.
Yeah.
But I cannot, like, if we were to go upstairs right now and you poured me a glass of milk, I couldn't.
No,
I couldn't.
It's got to be
drink it.
Situational.
I have to eat something first before I can take my first sip of milk, which is weird because, like, my sister, she can drink milk. Like my kids too. Like in the morning, they want a cup of milk.
Yep.
But like that's like, oh God, you're not even eating anything. Like I have to eat something first.
I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know why that is, but also like when I've gone through health kicks in the past, I'd be like, all right, we're not drinking milk, and I felt so, like I was like I felt like I was turning my back on my whole family. By not
Right, you're
drinking
withholding
milk.
something.
Yeah, right. I felt so bad. 'cause
From
they're
everybody you've ever
farmers.
known or loved.
Yeah. But then I found out that my grandma actually is not a big fan of milk.
Oh, I know my grandma never drank it ever.
Yeah. And she was,
She must have had it maybe. I never saw her drink it.
and she was, my grandma, I milked cows with her many times. And then when
Oh,
I found out that
so- okay.
she didn't like milk, I was like, what?
Yeah, my grandma just lived in a house. She wasn't a farmer or anything.
Yeah.
She had coffee every morning. Decaf black coffee.
I
That's
drink
what
my
she
coffee
drank
black too.
every morning. Never once had milk. Ever.
Really? It's so weird.
Right. She must have had it once when she was a little girl or whatever and
Yeah.
didn't like it and
But
just
why are
settled on it the whole life.
Are people not drinking milk because of the whole lactose intolerant thing?
I don't know.
or-
I think there's a lot of different gastro problems that people have now that are related to dairy. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
know.
lucky enough to know that I like it and still drink it.
I
all
think
the
we need
time.
to make milk great again. Make milk great again.
Well, you
Mamaga.
have you.
Mamaga.
Good luck to you on that one.
I don't know. I think it would look good on a hat.
Right? Remember the Got Milk ads?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they put all
big milk
the sports
mustache.
stars and celebrities and
Yeah.
put milk mustaches on them.
Yeah. I don't know. For some odd reason, milk's really got a bad rap lately, and I really don't understand why. It's not bad. I mean, unless
think
you
I've-
are legit like lactose intolerant, I don't think it's really.
I
bad
think
for
I've
you
drank at least a
necessarily.
gallon and a half a week my whole life,
I remember
and I've only
Um,
broken a bone once.
I've never broken a bone in my
Well,
life.
don't say that out loud.
Well, it's because I have all the milk I drink.
Well, I mean that. Yeah, sure.
Because I'm not tough or not. Is that
No,
what-
I just mean that I'm a superstitious person.
that way.
You're gonna
No. I
you can't
won't.
fall down the stairs tonight.
No. I will never break a bone.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen.
Okay.
I've been in car wrecks. I've fell down the stairs. I've took nasty falls. Never broke a bone. I'm just too indestructible.
You're just unbreakable.
yeah.
You're Bruce
basically.
Willis.
Kind of. I've only had stitches once. Like I never had bruises on it. You ever jam your finger and the finger gets all black and shit?
From basketball, yeah.
Never happened to
lot.
me. I've jammed my fingers all the time. I never get bruises.
Wow, you're just built different.
Yeah, I'm just insanely indestructible.
Yeah, I love that for you.
I don't know.
Congrats on all your success.
I'm going to change it.
Right. I think you should change everything about you by January 1st.
But I remember when I was dating my wife, and I would go to her family because she lived at home when I met her because she just got out of college or whatever, so she was living at home. And I remember like going to their house for the first meal, right? And they all had like these little tiny cups of milk, like tiny.
Oh,
And
I know where. I think I know where.
And
this
I was
is
just
going.
like, and I just remember drinking it, and I'm like, "Can I have a refill of milk?" And they were just all looking at me like, "You want more milk?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then like the next time I had supper, like they had little tiny cups, and then they gave me a pint glass,
Which is hilarious because the moment you left, they were having a conversation about the pig your wife brought over and drank all the milk.
Yeah.
You know that's what they talked about.
But now in our house, we have a rule. Like my wife reminds me of it all the time. Like if we go to a grocery store for whatever reason to get whatever, even if it's not necessarily on the list, we need to leave with a gallon of milk.
Oh, sure. One every
We
time.
have to. Yeah.
Because,
we just
well,
go
you have
through it.
3 kids. I have 2. It's a constant recycling of gallons of milk.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I
know.
agree.
And I, like I said,
100%.
if I'm not going to have supper without a glass of milk. It's just not going
Right.
to happen.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I agree.
Whatever.
All right. Christmas Kate.
Christmas Kate, we're knocking out.
What a great email. 3 paragraphs.
Yeah. And a PS.
Look
in
at all the
there.
content you got out of that email.
I know.
Keep them coming, folks.
Keep it coming. Unordinary opinion. I'll let you have this one.
An unordinary opinion. This is the time where I have to say something controversial.
You already kind of did.
I
but-
kind of did with the whole Mother's Day thing.
that wasn't really controversial.
I
You
think
just were
it's very pro wife. That's my Mother's Day opinion. Is it needs to be about your wife
yeah.
because God bless your mothers. You know
They had their time.
they had their
in the
time
sun.
though, and
Yeah.
and you can they have to think back about all the times you brought home stuff for them from school,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot take that away from your own daughter
Right.
or your sons.
Father's
your
Day
daughter.
doesn't. Do you guys sell it? Like I mean, Father's like to
Oh,
me.
Father's Day is a totally different animal.
It's
It's
a
like, what do you want to do
different
for
animal.
Father's Day? It's like, I want to leave, and I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't even want to know I have a family on Father's Day. Is that it? Is that a controversial opinion? I want to go out with the boys, preferably ones that aren't dads. and I will come back the next day. There's a big difference between Father's Day and Mother's Day. By the way, I don't really actually say that, but that's what we all think. Like, oh, it's about me. I get to do what I want. No, I have a couple strong opinions.
Yeah.
We talked about one before we pressed play on this. I think I'm going to table that one.
Oh, okay.
And I have another one that I feel strongly about. You people going to Disney World without your kids.
Oh.
You need to stop. You need to stop.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Disney is the first culture that we all kind of become a part of, right? It's the first thing that your kids and my kids probably get experienced.
Without a doubt.
Correct. It's like we show them Aladdin and the princesses and everything. Here's the thing. It shouldn't be the last. And we got way too many people going to Disney World without kids, buying the passes to get to the front of the lines. I don't even know what the rides are called anymore.
Yeah.
I would date myself by saying Space Mountain. For all I know, that's it.
I think it's still there.
It's a wreck. But, I mean, it's grotesque.
Yeah.
I mean, there are just influencers out there, left and right, about adults, and they're critiquing the different rides and experiences that they get when they go to Disney World. And I hate to break it to you, but it's about children.
Yeah.
And you need to move on. The perpetual Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah.
That our generation has is the reason the boomers will not let go of the power they have. Because like I said before, they look at us and they go, he really bought $1,000 WrestleMania ticket? He really spent $5,000 going down to Disney World? I think I'm going to work a few more years because I'm worried about what's going to happen. We have to accept the fact at one point that maybe us refusing to grow up is part of the problem.
Well, it's funny you say that because
by the way, I'm guilty of this.
You went to Disney World?
No.
Oh.
I'm part of this problem. When I was out with my thyroid cancer, do you know what I did? I went to Walmart and I bought 3 Lego sets. So I'm just as guilty.
Yeah.
But I am not getting on a plane and getting in front of a child at a ride at Disney World.
No, I agree 100%.
And it makes me sick.
When I think of Disney, because we are a Disney family, without a doubt. Disney Plus we watch it every night. And I can't wait to go to Disney World with my kids, though. Like that's what I want to go to Disney World with my kids so I can see their look to go to Disney World.
And that's going to be fleeting because you're like me. That feeling is going to go the moment you see a 35-year-old woman dressed up as Minnie getting in front of your daughter's view of Cinderella's castle. It's going to get ruined, and you are going to feel a rage you have never felt before.
Oh boy, don't say that.
That it's going to be brutal.
I didn't even know that existed.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. There are channels upon channels. There are channels for plus-sized people, and they rate each ride. They yes, about how accessible it is for everyone.
Oh,
there are
God.
adults that have channels that try to perfect and make up disabilities so they can get to the front of the rides at Disney World.
Because they're so fat?
No, not necessarily. They just want to get to the front of the ride at Disney World, and they're your and I age.
That's a shame.
That and it's a big deal. And if you want me,
that's
my opinion.
That's what's giving us millennials a bad name.
Yeah. A new thing at schools, they call us the elder millennials.
They call us that.
Millennials.
That's what you and me are.
Yeah, they'll call you elder millennial.
Now, what does that mean? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm pretty sure if a kid is calling you that, that's not a good thing.
But is it actually a good thing? Like, are we the people that know what a Walkman is, know what it was pre-internet?
Well, they look at some of the footage that floats around once in a while of kids, in 1998, the senior class. It would be some, raw footage from back then. And the kids would be like, wow, everybody looks so happy. Everybody looks so adult.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, it's because we didn't have our faces in screens and we had to interact in the hallways.
Yeah, we had fun.
Passing time.
Yeah.
And you were always looking everybody in the eye.
Right.
You didn't talk with your nose down.
Right.
You saw somebody you wanted to talk to in the hallway. You had a good time.
I remember that. I mean, I had a cell phone when I turned 16 only because that's when I had my license.
19 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a buddy that didn't have a cell phone at all. And I remember he told me a story. His car broke down. He had to walk to a person's house and knock on the door. Like that. I remember those stories. And I only had the cell phone because I had the car. But my freaking brother, who's 12, 13 years younger than me, he had a cell phone like freshman year of high school.
Right.
Or maybe even younger yet. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's and I have younger cousins that have cell phones. It's just like, why do they need that?
Correct.
Why don't they have, like, I remember when I was in school calling from the phone in the gymnasium, calling my dad and be like, okay, I'm done with, practice or whatever. Come pick me up.
Right.
Like, don't they have schools or phones in schools? Maybe do they have a phone in school that a kid can call?
A good shift in public opinion is that phones are terrible for children in school. And a lot of schools are switching to, you can have it in your locker and that's it.
Good.
You cannot have it, not even at lunch.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
there's a big shift in that.
That was a shift.
Big shift in that.
maybe
When
10
I first
years
started
ago.
teaching, the kids had the phones in the room and it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was just awful trying to police that. If you are still working in a district where they allow you to have phones in the classroom, you are literally spinning your wheels and you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You
gotta get rid
you
of
have
them.
to do a clean break off.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll have some parents that will be upset with that, saying, I need to get to my kid whenever I need to get to them. But you know what? They can call the
school.
office.
Yeah, call the office.
Exactly. So I mean, it's you have to do a clean break. We know so much about anxiety and depression that has been rising over the last maybe 15 years. Well, what also was invented 15 years ago? The iPhone, and the smartphone,
yeah,
and the perpetual access to technology.
I remember,
And that really has a bad effect on people.
You know what's funny is I remember my first ever text. It was from my mom.
You probably had to pay 10 cents for it.
Well, I don't know. My mom probably did because I was on her plan. But I remember, I do remember real quickly, like texting people, and then they would reply back with like a K, and I get so pissed. I'd be like,
It sounds bratty.
You just cost me 5 cents.
Oh yeah,
or
sure.
whatever."
I see what you mean.
But I remember my mom texted me. My first ever text was from, I had an old Motorola phone. Those are like the most popular phones.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom texted me, and I just remember looking at this text and I'm reading, and I'm like, this will never catch on. I literally thought that.
Sure.
Like, this will never catch on. Why would somebody want to type all this stuff?
Well, I remember when I first had a phone, you wanted you see something on TV, you just call your buddy up. You remind you of, this reminds me of my buddy. He would like this. You call him. And then you end up talking for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
You spent 90% of your time on the phone talking. And 5% of the time texting. And I feel like in a 2-year time, it did a complete shift.
Yeah.
Now if I, like, for example, today I called my sister and she was like, hello. Like,
she's worried.
She was worried. Yeah. Right. I'm like,
did
hi.
Craig kill somebody?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the new equivalent of somebody just knocking on your door is you call someone and you go, oh boy.
I remember I called a buddy. I had this New Year's resolution where I was going to call people, and I was going to, we probably got to get you out of here.
No, that's all right.
And I was going to call people, friends from high school and stuff. I was just going to I had like a list of friends. I'd be like, I'm going to call this one this week. I'm going to call this one next week.
Right.
And I remember I called, I forget who it was, but I remember calling him and we talked. I think it was my buddy Joe. You remember Joe? Do you remember Joe? Maybe not. He was on
like I always say, I'm really good with faces.
He was
not with names.
He was on our softball team for a little while, maybe before you came to town. But he lives in Minnesota right now, and I think it was Joe where I called him up and we were talking, and he lives in Minnesota, so like all of his friends are not there. And I swear to God it was him, and I swear to God I remember at the end of the conversation, he said, thanks for calling.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. I was like, oh, and I just wish I would do it more. And it's like, now it's like if I call somebody, it's, I don't know, I just almost feel weird calling somebody.
Right. But for some reason, we let our lives be so busy now. We almost don't have time that permits for just having a conversation with somebody. I remember I called a friend from my old job. I had a student in my class. His dad was a pastor, and we became really good friends just from talking, hanging out, and I helped out, on a few mission trips or whatever. And eventually all the kids graduated and they moved away. And I had the flu over Christmas one year. And I went, I wonder how he's doing. I just called him up. We talked for 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. It was great. But it shouldn't take me to have the flu to want to talk and to carve out the time to talk to someone.
You're right. Yeah, it's funny. Now, like my dad, on the other hand, he's on the phone all the time. talking to people.
Well, that's still the
It's still a
generation, right?
generation.
Yeah. And that's not true for everyone.
You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to start calling people.
Don't call me. I'm going to think something's wrong. You know, when I had thyroid cancer, it was something that I had to tell eventually I had to tell everyone, right? Once I had the surgery date set, I had to tell everybody. And I had to okay, who do I need to call? Because you can't text somebody that. Because if I text somebody that, let's say I text my best friend, hey, guess what? Sorry, I don't mean to drop this on you, but I have thyroid cancer. I'm going to have surgery on this date. What are they going to do immediately? They're not going to text you back.
Right.
They're going to call.
They're going to call.
Right. So I was like, okay, I got to call. And literally, I think I called maybe within a 3-day span, I called about 9 people.
Okay.
You know, I'm like,
Not me. You didn't call me.
No. You didn't need to know.
We're such close
I
friends.
know.
You start off this podcast by saying we're such good buddies. How long have we known each other?
No, I said how long have we been friends? You know, that friend is a loose term. But every time I called somebody, they were like, hello?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Are your parents okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I get it. That's totally, it goes into your point that we just don't make a call anymore.
Right. I'm bringing it back. That's another thing we're going to start doing is calling people. Hey, how you doing? How's it going?
I like that.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening, go through your contacts.
Yeah.
Scroll through it, even if it's like throwing darts at a board, and just call someone.
Yeah. That's a good
I
idea.
think that's a good idea.
Just call
and
somebody.
share your stories to J-Kenn.
And
I like that.
yes.
I might do that myself.
Do it, please.
I will.
Yes.
And then I'll share my story.
I love it. And then I'll read it on.
You put. There's no way I could remember your email address. You put it on the bio.
It's on the thing.
of the.
Yep. And
of the
every single
podcast.
episode, all
Got
you have to
it.
do is it's
Okay,
the bottom
I'll do
of the
that.
description. Click
And
on
I
it.
encourage anybody else who's listening to do so.
Yeah, and if you are listening,
Not a family member.
Yeah. Right. It's on the description of every podcast, no matter where you listen. There's an email link. You just click the email, and it pops up, and you just type an email. Not that hard.
Got it.
So do it. So, okay, this is the longest episode ever.
I love that. And I'm sure most people turned off an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they probably did. I'll
Hour and a
never
half.
be. You know,
The first 15 minutes.
I'm
they're
sure
like,
that
this guy's
if
talking
you
way
get
too much
any
about
negative
NASCAR.
comments, it's probably all about me. Just don't share them with me. Never invite me back. It's fine.
No, I want you back. We got to do our wrestling podcast with our mutual friend Eric.
No way he made it to the end of this.
Oh, I bet he was all excited. Oh, my buddy's Greg's on.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Did you see that commercial of him on Facebook? What
Oh yeah, he's great. You talk about a person who fell right into the perfect career for themselves.
But he was doing a
It'd be
Hulk
him.
Hogan impression in Madison.
Oh, he did that years ago. You're
But
so
it's-
slow
but he's
on
in,
that.
No, I know, but that
I'm pretty sure that he did that a long time ago.
I thought that was recent.
No, I think he was just reposting something from years ago. I
But
could be
still,
wrong.
It's
I
Hulk
could be
Hogan
wrong.
in Madison. That didn't-
You know, him and I, we used to cut promos
I
on,
saw
on
the
the
video that you guys
camcorder when
did.
we were children.
I used to wrestle with my cousin. My mom would record us on the camcorder, and we would wrestle in the living room, and we
Oh,
would be in
yeah.
our underwear.
Oh, jeez. We never went that far,
Yeah.
but we were
Well,
already
you had to wear your
12,
underwear.
13 years old.
But I remember one time I got busted open, quote unquote, and it's because I took my mom's lipstick and just drew it all over my face.
I love that. We used to cut tinfoil and say that was thumbtacks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
I remember Eric showed me the video that you guys did in high school where you had like that dummy that got hit by the
Oh,
car
yeah,
and
that
all
was
stuff.
great. Yeah, that was when video editing first started, and we got good at it in a hurry.
Yeah,
We
was
picked
very
up on it
impressed.
very
I was
quickly.
impressed
Yeah.
by it, so.
Hilarious.
We are going to end. This is the season finale of episode 1. I would like to, I want to thank Craig for being on the show.
You really twisted my arm, but I gave in.
Yeah, you did. And not only that, but yeah, you were almost talked for 2 hours. Longest episode, but I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to end on the song of the week. And this is a song, Craig's not going to know it. But because it's the final episode of the season, there's a song out there called Eulogy. You know what a eulogy is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a cancer joke?
No, it's not.
If I'm ever invited back, we can talk about that later.
All right. No, it's just a song called Eulogy by Tool. It's a band, Tool. It's like it's
There's
this
a
is
shot I might have heard it.
yeah. This is
I'm not very good with names.
Yeah, this is a song that last week I did a Dave Matthews song. I've been doing songs all over the board, but this song's definitely more of a harder song. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because it came on my phone the other day. I was driving down the road and it was on my iTunes or whatever, and it came on and I remembered this is back when you could didn't have Shazam on your phone, and I remember driving through Potter. You ever drive through Potter?
Oh boy, that's in the sticks, isn't it?
Oh, it's the sticks. Potter, where the girls are hotter.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was driving through Potter and I was listening to 94.7, The Razor.
Yeah.
And the song was on the radio and I just remember hearing it. I'm like, holy shit, this song is just awesome, right? And I remember calling the radio station, calling them and being like, what song did you play at 127?
I need to know.
Yeah, I need to know. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, dude. Eulogy by Tool. And I just was like, ever since then, it was like, freaking songs.
I love that because that's how we used to get information. You had to either ask a buddy or you had to go out and find the information
you had to go
yourself.
out and find it. Yeah. Or you had to
I love
make
that.
a phone
That's
call.
a great story.
Yeah. So it's just funny that we're talking about it because I had to call the radio station and be like, what song did you just play? He's like, oh yeah. You like that one? That was Eulogy by Tool. I'm like, yeah, I liked it. And so anyway, to finish off the season finale, we're going to go with Eulogy by Tool. So listen to that song with the windows down and the radio up. And on behalf of Craig, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Have an ordinary average week. All right.